Hi, I'm Dr. Patrick Andersen of Madison Maximize Living. There's no question that chiropractic is the most misunderstood healthcare profession in the world. Yet patients who receive chiropractic care have a high satisfaction rating. It is completely natural and with very little side effects other than better health. Most patients are quite surprised by how much chiropractic adjustments have actually helped them. Also now, there's much that can be done at home to help improve spinal health through home care programs. Join co-host Stacy Hansen and myself as we cover why chiropractic, coming up next on Wisconsin's 57.
Welcome back to Maximize Living with Dr. Patrick Andersen. We're talking about chiropractic today. It's sort of an introduction to chiropractic care for those of you that are new to it. So let's just start with the description of it. What is chiropractic care in general, Dr. Pat?
Well, you know, Stacy, it's a science, it's an art, and it's a philosophy. And it's a science in that there isn't guesswork involved. This is measurable x-rays, strength tests, range of motions, postures, that tell us there's a spinal issue. So it's the science of determining if someone has a subluxation, and it's an art because the longer you're in practice, the more you learn and you get more of an art, like an artist keeps getting better as they get older. And there are literally hundreds and hundreds of different adjustments that can be done. So it's an art of continually getting better at it. And it's a philosophy of things natural, that our body really has everything it needs inside. And it's just interfered with, or deficient, or toxic, undermoved, and that when we give the body what it needs, it's brilliant. It knows how to heal itself. It knows how to heal a cut. And if you give the body what it needs, it will heal itself in most cases. That
is pretty amazing too, when you think about it, how much your body's capable of doing.
Well, think about it. Your body makes 1 million cells a second.
Wow.
200 different kinds, and it knows right where to put them. At the same time, it breaks down 1 million cells a second, or you would be ever expanding.
Yeah.
So all that happens automatically in your body, all controlled by the brain.
So this spine here has got to be pretty important because that's basically where you're working, right?
Yes, the brain sitting here sends signals down the spinal cord. You've heard you had a hole in your head? There's a hole right there.
I do have a hole in my head, I guess.
Actually, there's 7 of them. But the big one, the big hole is right at the base. It's where the brainstem comes through. And then this yellow part here is the spinal cord that's actually housed inside the spine.
Wow.
And so the purpose of the spine is to house and protect the spinal cord and brainstem. So the brain sends 3 trillion signals a second down that spinal cord out to every organ, muscle, and tissue and joint in the body. And what most people don't realize is that those tissues send signals back to the brain, so the brain knows everything that's going on at all times. So that's how it directs.
It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it does so 3 trillion signals a second at 270 miles an hour.
Wow.
The brain is absolutely amazing.
That is incredible. So would you say that what we have here is kind of what a normal spine should look like?
Well, a normal spine from the front, everyone would probably agree it should be straight. But what do you think from the side, straight or crooked?
Probably a little bit crooked, but not too much. Is that not middle enough for you?
You're thinking of someone with sway back that might be too much.
Yeah.
There actually should be, the sacrum should sit at about a 36-degree angle.
Oh, okay.
And we measure that. And that allows then a 43-degree arc in the low back, arc in the mid-back, and there should be an arc in the neck. That's 43-degree arc. That arc makes the spine 26 times stronger to move and do your things, or to take a fall or have an injury. You know, you can, or lift heavy. Your spine is much stronger. It gives leverage for motion, and it absorbs shock much better. The spinal cord is actually intended to be in that kind of an arc, and so one of the problems with an abnormal spine is that this will bend forward, the head goes forward, it'll actually stretch the cervical spine and stretch the spinal cord and cause premature decay.
Wow.
Yeah. And then interesting and for every inch forward your head is 10 pounds heavier. So it'd be like holding a bowling ball out here
All day long.
All day long.
On your poor little neck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what's really fascinating too is the lumbar spine, the low back. You thought you might, shouldn't have too much.
Yeah.
And it's true, you can have too much, but most people have too little.
Really?
Yeah. This curve here, the lumbar curve, is referred to as the spinal engine, because that's where power comes for athleticism, shock absorption, function. You look at anyone that's a good athlete, they're going to have a powerful lumbar curve. Even in nature, you see a cheetah running at 60 miles an hour. They have a powerful lumbar curve. That's their spinal engine.
How interesting.
And most people that start developing problems lose that, and our goal is to regain that.
We'll have more on chiropractic care right after the break. Have your questions for Dr. Pat answered on an episode of Maximize Living. Send your email to drpat@wi57.tv. Welcome back to Maximize Living with Dr. Patrick Andersen. We're talking about chiropractic care in general today and why to use chiropractic and how to go about it. We were talking a little bit before the break about some of the things that can go wrong with the spine, and I've heard you talk a lot about subluxations in the past.
Yes.
Can you sort of explain what that is?
Well, a subluxation is a misalignment that happens in our spinal structure, and it will pinch a nerve. So is the easiest way to understand it. It's a little more complex than that, but the vertebra will misalign and actually compress a nerve or interfere with its flow pattern, and even a light pressure can interfere significantly on the nerve flow. So wherever that nerve goes, the organ may not work right or build disease, the muscles may go weak, or there may or may not be pain.
So how would you know then? You would have to get a checkup, I suppose.
Exactly. Pain is actually a poor monitor of health, and many people think that pain is why they go in.
Right.
But we're just as much, if not more, concerned about the sites that aren't painful, that are still interfering with body function. So 10% of the nerves don't even feel pain. So if you took a cross-section of a nerve like this, millions of nerve fibers, only 10% will actually feel pain.
Wow.
So they may have an organ disruption, or they could have a weak muscle because of that nerve being pinched and not even feel it. So our job is to locate any areas, both painful and non-painful, and correct them to the best of our ability through what we call an adjustment.
So you definitely want to get an adjustment if you had a subluxation. So what causes subluxation, just to kind of get an idea of where you got it from, maybe hopefully prevent it?
Well, we call them the 3 T's. It would be trauma, thoughts or stress, and then toxins. But one of the first traumas is birth itself for both the mother and child.
Yeah, we can't escape that one.
Yeah, with the strain on the neck during birth, the position in the womb. All those things can really make a difference on the neck, and some children, or many children in fact, need an adjustment right after birth. So the stress just will cause it, or bad stinking thinking will cause tension in the body, and over time that will distort the spine.
Wow.
And then toxins just give a body a low ability to hold its structure. It's fascinating that 90% of our brain's energy output is to hold the posture upright.
90%?
Yeah.
Wow.
And 90% of the brain stimulation comes from spinal movement. And Roger Sperry won the Nobel Prize in brain research for that information, that discovery.
So what part does pain really play then in a patient's care if not all of them are maybe even having pain?
Right. Well, pain will often bring people in, but our goal is to teach people to bring their kids in, even if they don't have pain, to make sure you correct problems before they get stubborn. Mm-hmm. So the pain usually responds quite well to chiropractic care. So anytime you can do a natural care rather than opioids, you're ahead of it.
Right, yeah, if you can try to avoid something like that, some of those especially addictive, opioids. What about innate intelligence? What is this? What does it do?
Yeah, that's that inborn wisdom of the body to heal. It's that life force that causes our body to make that million cells a second. And chiropractors talk of that Mother Nature, that inborn wisdom of the body to heal. So if you cut yourself, it will heal. You don't have to think about it. It's that inborn wisdom. It's that life force that if you were to be with a person the moment before they died and after they died, it's what's not there anymore. And that's that inborn wisdom of the body to heal and correct itself. We call it innate intelligence.
So what about if somebody has, a subluxation maybe in their neck? Where can you really see that, or what is it affecting your organs right there?
Right, exactly. Well, when we see someone with a subluxation in the neck, typically there's forward head posture and shifting of the posture. Besides neck pain or headaches or arm pain, we see an increased frequency of sinus issues, of focus challenges, TMJ issues, swallowing difficulties, and actually after accidents, many times there's more thyroid issues. So for the neck, there's a lot that gets influenced.
So if you're having some of those issues, it might be a sign that maybe you've got a subluxation in that area.
Exactly.
So stay with us. We'll talk about some more areas of the spine right after the break.
Have your questions for Dr. Pat answered on an episode of Maximize Living. Send your email to drpat@wi57.tv.
Welcome back to Maximize Living with Dr. Patrick Andersen. We're talking about why use chiropractic care in this episode. And right before the break, we were talking about subluxations and how, depending on where you have a subluxation, what organs could be affected. We talked about the neck. What about when you're getting into kind of the mid-back?
Yes, whenever we when we get subluxations, typically the head will move forward or shift, and our shoulders will round, and we'll sit in a slumped posture. So that can affect our heart and lungs and give the lung capacity. So I'd like, if you're able to do this at home, and please slump in your seat.
Okay.
Let your shoulders droop and your head go forward. Now take a really deep breath, as deep as you can.
I can't.
Yeah, you notice that?
Yeah.
You can imagine what happens when someone has bad posture.
Yeah.
Now lift your sternum up, good curve in the neck. Now as deep as you can.
Oh, that's better.
See the difference in your lung capacity? It's at least 30% better lung capacity. So structure determines function. And it's true in alignment, it's true in physics, in construction, in chemistry. Structure determines function. We have to have a good spinal structure. So when we slump like that, we're really limiting our oxygenation of our body. It also affects the heart. The Journal of the American Geriatric Society says that if you have forward head posture to a point where you can't lie flat on your back and have your head touch, that really affects heart health.
Wow. Just because it's kind of squeezing in that area?
The nerves are affected with with this bad posture.
Wow.
So it's critically important to have that good structure in the mid-back.
Right. Now what about the low back then?
Well, when we get subluxations in the low back, besides back pain or muscle weakness, these same nerves go to your organs in the low back. So we've seen issues with kidney problems, bladder issues, colon issues, and sexual dysfunction issues, because these nerves control everything in our body. So keeping the spine right not only helps pain, but it helps your internal organs function better.
So I wonder now, does arthritis sort of fall into some of these categories too?
Yes.
How does that come into play in chiropractic?
Well, that's arthritis is a joint, it typically is loaded wrong. As a joint is loaded, so it'll decay more. So to demonstrate that, I love bringing my sushi tray. I hope you're hungry today.
Oh yeah, well, not anymore.
So this is noting a normal disc and a normal nerve. And what happens is we lose height as we get older, often because of the disc degenerating and getting thinner. It's a decay process, often accelerated by misalignment or subluxation. Over time, we get more disc degeneration and then spurring in phase 2 of spinal decay. And in phase 3, it's much worse than that. The problem is when we're out of alignment, we go down the scale too fast. So one of our goals in chiropractic care is really slow down the wear and tear by getting good alignment, full range of motion, even leg length, so we don't continue to load those joints wrong.
And we were talking during the break about posture, and believe it or not, there's 2 major types of posture, I guess, other than the normal. So there'd be, or the ideal, the three. Take us through what those are.
Well, I'll stand up to demonstrate
it. Do you want me to try to do it with you?
Yeah, try to do it with me. There's 2 kinds of posture that about 80% of people have. One is called a forward posture. It's a rocket posture where they're actually standing with this part of their spine, their dorsal spine, forward from the sacrum, and then their head's forward.
Like this.
And that's one of the things we measure on the x-rays. The other posture is a slump posture, which you might be familiar with seeing, where the people actually have a flat sacral base. Their spine goes posterior here, and their head goes forward and their shoulders round. So this is that slump posture. And those are two types of postures that we can have home care and things we do to help them. Actually using things like head weights or pelvic weights to have them walk around with that and it help change their posture.
It trains your body to stand differently.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's a lot of interesting techniques in chiropractic to help.
So maybe take a look in the mirror, stand normally the way you normally do, take a look in the mirror and see if you're falling into one of those two categories. Well, stay with us. We'll have more on chiropractic care right after the break.
Have your questions for Dr. Pat answered on an episode of Maximize Living. Send your email to drpat@wi57.tv.
Welcome back to Maximize Living with Dr. Patrick Andersen. We're talking about why chiropractic today and some of the things that you can get out of chiropractic care. We wanted to talk about chronic disease next. Is this, would you say, preventable or can it be helped with some of these adjustments?
Well, absolutely. It helped and managed better and often prevented. So that's why it's so important to start getting checked early on after birth, because it's challenges from birth. But the National Institute of Health has actually stated that 80% of our chronic health diseases are preventable.
Wow,
80%.
80%.
Cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and some will say even higher than that. So really, chiropractic is about helping people understand how naturally to prevent disease. Because ultimately, whose responsibility is it to be healthy? Is it Obamacare's, your health insurance company, your doctor, or is it yours? And when you understand that it's really your responsibility to do certain things on a regular basis, to build health for you and your family, then you really understand where health comes from.
Yeah, and I gotta believe those day-to-day things like eating right and exercise, things we always talk about too, have got such a big part to play.
And you know, the thing that people don't realize is it's just easier to do it right. That's where all the energy is, that's where less cost and expense in healthcare is. Just be well, and it's really more choice than chance.
So what are the different types of care in chiropractic?
Well, we have a poster there that I'd like to
Okay, yeah, I'll pull that out here.
show. I love this poster because there's really two types of care in chiropractic, in medicine in general. One is called pain care, where you can kind of see you're riding a roller coaster. You go in when you have pain, you feel good, and you wait till you're hurt, and then you have trouble again. And it's a roller coaster. The problem is that roller coaster is headed downhill. You're losing health because you're just treating pain. And these relapses are like mini concussions. You know, they're just not good for you, and you can't keep doing that to your body. So the wellness movement says, no, it's not just about pain. Great, you feel better, but let's make sure that we improve your posture, your range of motion, your strength, your orthopedic tests, your x-rays, and your leg length, and get you to a higher level here. These people that are here are what we call wellness. They are much better off. They've gotten their corrective care, and then they move into wellness, where they maintain their spine. Could be once a week for life, it could be once every other week, or even once a month for life, depending on their own body. But these are the people that have the best health, the best sleep, the best energy, the best moods, the best immune function, the best sports performance. They can have a slip or a fall and bounce out of it so much better than this person who coughs or sneezes and gets hurt. So this is just a really good graphic of saying, you know, build your health, not just treat pain.
And this goes in the sense of all healthcare, not just chiropractic,
Exactly.
really.
And we are a little too focused on treating symptoms, I think, in our country, and getting back to building healthy bodies is where health is.
Yeah, and who doesn't want to be ahead of that
Yeah.
and hopefully never experience some of those things. So what types of things happen if somebody decides that they want to go ahead with a chiropractic adjustment? What goes into it?
Well, we do an examination, a consultation and an examination. We may take digital x-rays, depending on the case. And then we'll devise a certain specific force to put in the spine. It's actually quite gentle, and it feels awesome to have done when it's done well. And then the body has less pressure on the nerve. Pain is generally reduced fairly quickly, and blood flow to the brain generally increases significantly. hormone balancing, we're often called brain doctors more than we're called bone doctors as chiropractors, because we know that the adjustment lowers stress hormone cortisol and boosts up dopamine and serotonin and vasopressin and oxytocin, the bonding. And so we really recalibrate the brain when we do a proper spinal adjustment, let alone improve the cerebrospinal fluid flow and nerve flow. And the outflow of that then is the stronger muscles, better range of motion, even leg length, better posture, and those things.
So before we start to kind of close this out, what are the main things that you want people to take away about chiropractic care?
People don't really realize that it's a science that is measurable between the x-rays and the exam findings and the comparative tests later. It's a science, you can show it. And that most people feel noticeably better right away. Some are a little bit at a time. Some are sore at first before they start moving forward. That's the main thing. And the other point would be that we really don't treat any disease as a chiropractor. Our job is to simply remove nerve interference and let the body, its own innate intelligence, heal itself. In some respects, I'm just a monkey who moves the bone and God does the healing. You know, the body does the healing.
Very interesting. Well, stay with us. We'll have more on chiropractic care right after the break.
Have your questions for Dr. Pat answered on an episode of Maximize Living. Send your email to drpat@wi57.tv.
Thank you for watching our show on Why Chiropractic. Hopefully you've been exposed to the art, science, and philosophy of chiropractic now and realize how important a chiropractic checkup is for every man, woman, and child. If you're ready to have this very important evaluation of your spine and nervous system, please give our clinic a call at 608-833-1282. Chiropractic care is a life changer. For Maximize Living, I'm Dr. Patrick Andersen. Until next time, live well and God bless.